Welcome to the Leg Kick Podcast. Mike made us late because he was getting his hair cut. He now looks like... I don't know. I'm not going to say it. Anyway, that's all I've got. We're the Leg Kick Podcast. Subscribe, tune in, like, spread it around, share it to your friends, all that. Jesus, my co-host today can't even bother to pay attention. They're looking down at what? I don't know.
Oh, my bad. I didn't know
both of you at the same time. Mike, your fingernails are fascinating, but not that fascinating.
Yeah. Some fights. I'm trying to pull up, some news.
Some things are happening that we will share with you eventually, but...
Anyways, here's my host, Jeremy. Ex-CFL player.
What?
A man who genuinely needs to clean his toilet. Jeremy, say hi to the good people. Oh, Jeremy, are you there? All right. Anyways, maybe next time. Next, we have British MMA prospect, a man who's coming for Darren Till's middleweight title. David, say hi to the good people who like it.
Hi, everyone. The guys, I don't know if we're going to keep that part in the beginning, but there's some decent grapplers here in England, and I want no problems. I'm just going to put that out there.
British grapplers, I could pull guard on you in MMA and still win. Anyways, and finally, we have a man who missed weight last weekend.
We're not. That did not happen.
And then the fight was called off. Michael Asiffo. Mike, say hi to the good people.
That did not happen. You're not gonna besmirch my name.
Okay, I'm sorry. 14 pounds. My bad.
Man, I promised the guy that, circumstances happened for my fight. We'll talk about in story time. I promised him I wasn't going to spread it on social media. So we'll leave it.
Spread it. No, you're going to spread it. like a popular female actress once said, "Oh, fuck yeah, spread it." Anyways, got some news to get into.
You're trying to get past it. You're not getting past it.
We got some news to get into. So we had a good Max Holloway fight last weekend.
Yeah.
Shall we?
Yeah.
Do the trend? Straight position. Position, I should say. Let's get into the news and views of the week. So,
all right, what do you got for us?
Number one piece of news, and let's start off, and I would like to just take the opening salvo on this. Roxanne Modafferi steps away and retires from MMA.
Oh, no.
Faustine got a little bit shocked in the next room. I'll read out her statement here. I feel like the punches and blows to the head were affecting me more. I want to be super careful with my brain health, and reaching 50 career fights seems like a good achievement for me. So, Roxy's walking away. Now, I remember hearing about Roxanne Modafferi back in the day on Boss Rutan, his old MMA show on The Score. And, truly a female pioneer of MMA. Truly someone with staying power. Not somebody with all the physical attributes in the world, but somebody that made her style work despite those attributes. Always a fun grappler, was on 2 different seasons of The Ultimate Fighter, nearly won it the second time. And came back a second time with a reinvented game, put together a neat little striking game between straight hitting and low kicks and volume, and always a fun fight to see, always interesting, and a fellow weeaboo. So, guys, anything to say about Roxy's retirement?
I'll say something quick. Shouts out to Roxanne Modafferi. I didn't realize it's a parody of myself. Yeah, no, she was definitely, maybe as you said, not the most physically gifted fighter in her division or gender.
That's why we love her.
Yeah, but at the same time, she was kind of one of those fighters who made the best of what she had. You could tell she was a real professional and a real student of the game. As you said, she was a fantastic grappler, a pretty decent grappler, and was able to get some scalps too. Some of them are not popping. Her fight against that really cocky,
Macy Barber.
Not Macy Barber.
That was a good fight in my estimation, though. That was Roxy.
That was I think her best late Twilight fight was the Macy Barber fight where she just put it on her.
I feel like she did have some like good wins in there, and you know what? She's kind of right. 50 wins is respectable, and she seems like the kind of person who, sorry, 50 fights is a respectable like resume, and she seems like the kind of person who would be, both who could go on to do different things, both, whether it's like coaching, like future female UFC fighter or MMA fighters, or even just something completely unrelated to MMA as well. She always struck me as one of the more thoughtful, whether it's male or female, thoughtful MMA fighters in the game. So shouts out to her.
Oh, she has one more fight coming up, and she's retiring after that. My mistake, against Casey O'Neill,
Fake
which
news,
I think.
Fake news.
Yeah, she's on like a pretty pronounced streak of loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, loss. Yeah, wins over Andrea Lee, wins over Antonina Shevchenko. Her first fight was back in 2003. Wow. Fought in Shuto. So yeah, I mean, maybe a tad premature, but it looks like she is calling it a career after this fight. So early shouts out to Roxanne Modafferi, I suppose.
I mean, 17 years isn't premature to me, at least. I know. Like, I know she's pretty young, like for MMA standards.
39.
Oh, never mind. No, yeah, no, it's time. I think it's time.
It's sunset.
Yeah, it's a sunsetting.
Speaking of which, I'm going to close these curtains.
Yeah. I just want a small word though, like, is one of the things I love about MMA is that unlike, I think other sports do it, but like we in MMA, like the sport of MMA and its fandom, tend to celebrate the lunch pail fighters, the hard hat fighters, the ones who weren't necessarily the best, but they gave it 150%. They clocked in, put in their 8 hours, so to speak, their proverbial 8 hours.
Look at Glover Teixeira, for example.
Exactly.
Kind of thing. Only she didn't have the luxury of, that final swan song like title.
Yeah. And yeah, I think she was close. She was close one time against Nico Montano, but
oh yeah.
Yeah,
that was for the inaugural flyweight title.
Exactly. But yeah, like, oh, by the way, guys, I've lost my voice. So for anyone who's wondering why I sound like a weird, like some weird chain smoker, that's why.
To mate by 15 pounds will do that to you.
Oh my god.
And
but yeah.
Sorry, do you have anything else to say?
No, I'm just saying, like, thanks for the memories to Roxanne, and hopefully the next chapter of your life is as memorable as it was in MMA.
You know what, Roxanne? You don't have to put on a red light. Next up, Stephen Thompson versus Bilal Muhammad at welterweight. Fun fight.
I do like this fight, but I just feel like, do you think like it's time for Stephen Thompson? No disrespect, he's definitely still like sharp, but I just feel like
it's getting there.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the end goal?
I think he's still angling for a title, right? And I think as of up until that performance he had against Burns, right, where he didn't fully look himself, I think that I was still a big believer in a Wonder Boy title shot. I think this Bilal Muhammad fight is still a very winnable matchup for him. I think Bilal lacks a lot of the consequences to make Wonder Boy pay with his strikes. And, Bilal, as much as I love his style, is very much press forward, chest-to-chest, attempt to takedown kind of fighter. I don't think he's the best ring cutter. I don't think he has the power in his strikes to really make Stephen Wonder Boy pay. And I mean, up until recently, we were singing Wonder Boy's praises. I mean, he had that fight against Jeff Neal, in which he went 5 rounds, injured his leg in the end, and still was able to win that 5th round. So, I don't know. Clearly, the sun's setting on Wonder Boy as well, but maybe it hasn't set just yet.
Yeah, and keep in mind, 2 fights removed, this is the same guy who embarrassed Vicente Luque, and Vicente Luque is like, what, 1 win away from the title? So, Wonder Boy is still sharp, like you said, and he can still go. You just wonder how much left he's got in the tank, because he is in his 40s at this point. So,
and I can just imagine a fight against Kamaru Usman, and I don't know if I want to see that fight just for the sake of Wonder Boy, because even though he does throw up some interesting problems in terms of his technical proficiency when it comes to striking, I just think like we all know the game plan that Usman's gonna employ, and it's not gonna be. I don't feel like it's gonna be a pretty fight, and I don't feel like it's gonna be a very nice result for Wonder Boy.
Mike,
And
what's that
let's not
smile
forget,
about?
this is
Nothing.
the Wonder Boy who, with all due respect, didn't beat Tyron Woodley, even though Woodley was on fire back then. But we saw what, and I know MMA math doesn't always match up like that, but I mean, we saw what Usman did to Woodley and Gilbert Burns. Like, I just, something about it just doesn't excite me for some
So
reason.
Jake Paul for welterweight champion then.
Yes.
Anyways, I think
that's exactly what I was gonna say.
I like a prime Wonder Boy against Kamaru Usman. I don't like this iteration of him against Kamaru Usman.
Yeah, that's the kind of the problem, right? It's like, but see, that's my thing is that like I don't understand. My thing is that we know Wonder Boy can still beat a Bilal Muhammad if he comes right, if he comes correct. This iteration of Wonder Boy can be a Bilal Muhammad, a Jeff Neal. We've seen him do it against Vicente Luque. I'd argue not Gilbert Burns. I'd argue Leon Edwards might have some trouble against him as well. Yeah, no, I'd argue it. You know, even Gilbert Burns, I think if they run that back, maybe Stephen Wonderboy Thompson makes some adjustments and can win. But this is the thing, is like at 40 years old, do you want to still keep fighting and beat the number 7 ranked guy in the world, or is it the last hurrah time, right? And if you're not going to get that last hurrah, then maybe, yeah, you should call it a career before you turn into Anderson Silva, right?
Next up, and this is an interesting one. Khamzat Chimaev reportedly in the works to fight Gilbert Burns in January.
I like it.
I like it.
Big step up. This is
Yeah.
a big step up from the Leech.
And we're probably going to talk about Masvidal and Edwards later, but I found like the discussion of him replacing Masvidal just a little premature, in my opinion. Having like reflected on it, I think he does need to kind of prove his stripes before somebody like Edwards, who's ranked what, number 2, number 3 in the division.
Yeah, he's okay for Gilbert Burns, right? You are a partisan
I know, it kind of makes no sense.
A partisan English hack over here.
Yeah, no, I'm caping for Edwards for reasons that would be very clear shortly when we talk about it. But yeah, no, it makes sense. I think Burns poses some interesting problems.
Aren't you in law school in Birmingham?
Yes.
Leon's gonna poke his head out the door. David,
you never know, man.
Did you say the bit about me getting a title shot yet?
Honestly, you never know. It's a small world. Birmingham is a big city, but a small world. But
want me to
honestly,
slip you the quid now or later?
What is my point? Okay, yeah, I think Burns poses some interesting problems, not just in terms of, you know, the jiu-jitsu element. So if Chimaev is able to get it to the floor, then he like, I think that when he gets it to the floor realistically, I think Burns has some like interesting problems for him. But even like in terms of striking as well, like I would say Gilbert Burns has better striking than Chimaev so far. So, or has shown better striking.
We don't really know.
Yeah,
I haven't spent that much time on the feet, right? For all we know, I've been an advocate of the position that we don't know what Khamzat's ceiling is because we haven't seen that much. The first 2 fights were kind of against scrubs. We all know the English can't wrestle, right?
Well,
the third fight,
Phillips is Welsh.
Even English?
Phillips is
I
Welsh.
said the first 2 fights. Mearshart was 3.
Wait.
The third fight against
Hold
Mearshart
on.
was.
His first opponent was Welsh, and his second opponent was Irish. All right, don't diss the British like that.
Yeah, those are kinds of English. All right.
No, man. The people have.
Wait, first of all, Mike said don't diss the British like that. Both of those places are in the British Isles, so they are both British.
It's a good point. He did get me there.
Mike thought he was going to get me with a little gotcha there. Sorry, bud.
He did get me there.
But then his third fight against Mearshart, which was emphatic but quick, you know, all that we learned is that he had a good eye for a 1-2 that Mearshart was circling into off the cage with his hands down, right? Not a lot of data. We don't know much about, and even the Li Jingliang fight. We don't know much about his tendencies on the feet, his habits. what he likes to throw. We know that he's an athletic freak, a phenomenal wrestler, and clearly hits with power. But as far as extended periods on the feet, I've even seen, I happened to catch one of his fights back in Brave. Was it Brave FC, I believe?
Yeah.
Long before I knew that he was going to be a big thing. And I'm like, wow, he picked up this African gentleman and walked him across the cage. No, he was actually from Africa, David.
Yeah.
He was.
I know the play you're talking about, where he just took him to the other side of the cage and just.
Exactly. And I'm like, wow, what an interesting fight. And then I saw him in the. David thought I was being racist there. No, this gentleman is actually from Africa.
I was like, wait, hold on, is Khamzat African?
No, Khamzat was fighting an African gentleman.
Okay.
So yeah, long story short, I'm interested to find out. But as far as his level on the feet, I'm not entirely sure. We know he spars with Gustafsson, so that's got to be something.
Yeah. I mean, he does have a knockout with this really interesting, sneaky rear side uppercut that he threw kind of like a bolo style. But like I've only seen like the highlight of it. I didn't see like the progression into that. You know, maybe that fight presents something interesting. But the whole point was, huh?
How do you train for this guy?
Yeah, that's the thing, right? If you're Burns, it's like, what do you really do? But you know, my point is this. Chimaev, obviously with Chimaev, the comparisons are to Khabib, right? You know, the even though he's Chechnyan and Khabib is Dagestani, there's that comparisons of where they're from, you know, there's the comparisons of how they fight, right? The one thing about Khabib was we never really got to see him against a good jiu-jitsu guy. Like I'm talking like active on the bottom, you know, throws up hellfire from the guard jiu-jitsu guy. And we thought that was going to be Tony, but it never ended up being Tony. And it would have been nice to see him against this iteration of Charles Oliveira, and we never got him. Which Chimaev...
He's rolling his eyes as if we know all the questions have been answered.
I just feel like... Anyway, no, sorry, go on.
I get it. Khabib's like one of the greatest of all time when it's all said and done. I'm just saying, like, you know, maybe left a little too early. With Chimaev, we're going to see what this kind of Dagestani/Chechnyan grappling style is like against somebody who's really elite from the bottom in Gilbert Burns. I know you don't see it much, but he is. Sorry, go ahead.
One quick question. So what about Islam Makhachev, who many people consider to be a Khabib clone, versus Davi Ramos? Like,
I would say
he kept on the feet against Davi Ramos.
That took place on the feet largely, yeah. And I would also say that Islam Makhachev is not a Khabib clone. They fight very differently. And that fight was largely a stand-up affair.
Yeah, and here's the thing, too. Khabib and Islam's, like, the best kept secret for them is they might be the most defensively responsible fighters.
Khabib? Defensively responsible?
Not in that last fight against Justin Gaethje, but typically, like, especially Islam. Okay, fine, I'll argue. Islam Makhachev, just Islam, might be one of the most defensively responsible fighters in that division. And it's like a best kept secret, you know? So.
Yo, Stefano, are we boring you, man?
What's that?
Are we boring you? Like,
no, dude, I'm sorry. I had a like 9 a.m. training session, so
you got somewhere to be? Like, geez, that's like the fourth yawn you busted out.
I didn't sleep very well, and I had a 9 a.m. training session, and I haven't had my second coffee yet. So
that's fair. All right, let's truck along. Let's truck along, boys.
Let's get into the fights that were. After talking about the fights,
really quickly, Masvidal pulls out of Edwards' fight.
Masvidal pulls out of Edwards?
Yeah.
Ew.
Don't try and get me in trouble. I say this because at the MMA club that I have been participating in, one of the pro fighters there is a sparring partner for Leon Edwards. And I hope to one day, if I ever get the time, which I really doubt I would, go to the gym because go to Renegade and train there. So interesting. I just thought it was interesting that, you know, Edwards is now being taunted. Like, people are questioning whether he deserves a title shot. I say give it to him. Who else is there?
Dude, I'm not one of those people, but we got one of them right here. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
No, seriously, who else is there? If all we're basing the fact that he doesn't deserve it, deserve a title shot on is that
2 minutes against Nate Diaz.
Just 2 minutes and 30 seconds against Nate Diaz. Like, all right, like, come on.
It's also a rematch. I mean, Kamaru Usman did beat him already. Let's be fair.
That's fair, but whatever.
But
David,
hey, man, Colby
David, you tell him I
Covington.
deserve the title shot. I'll let you come train with us at Renegade, David, please.
Yes, let's go. Let's go. I'm pumped.
Man, now look. Here's the thing with the Masvidal Edwards thing. Masvidal. See, this is the funny thing is Masvidal could have very well had some sort of really bad nagging injury. But in the world of MMA, if you have a nagging injury and you want to take some time off to get healed, you're a pussy. Like, everyone will call you a pussy. It could be very legitimate. It could be something like very serious that, like, if you don't take care of in like 2 fights from now, you could really alter your quality of life. But if you pull out, unfortunately, people will call you a pussy. Unfortunately, and it's a shame.
Like, Masvidal just talks so much trash. Like, I hear you, but he talks so much trash that, like,
he doesn't get the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, man, you're kind of playing. It would be like Kobe pulling out of an Usman fight, like, which he did, by the way.
Yeah.
Or was it a Woodley fight? I can't remember, but
they both did. They both
when you
did.
talk that much trash, like, you kind of gotta back it up. And I don't know. I feel like Masvidal's star after the Usman fight has kind of, with all due respect, faded a little bit more. People are throwing the word journeyman out there. I wouldn't go that far. I do think he's still one of the most, like, dangerous, like, strikers in the division. But at the same time,
Wait, you mean his stars faded despite the fact that he beat Kamaru Usman that first time?
Wait, what?
Anyways, moving on. Let's talk about the fights this weekend, shall we?
All right, let's do it. Transition.
Ding, ding.
All right, so the most important fight, I think, in the division happened the other day. Wow, what a contest of skill and will.
I know he's gonna play us.
No, a contest of skill and will. A contest that took both participants in this fight to the absolute brink. A fight that I think we'll probably be talking about for years to come. I'm, of course, talking about Valerie Laredo versus Taylor Turner.
I knew he was going to do that. I knew it.
Yes, feminist icon, Valerie Laredo.
Wait, I want to hear Mike's think piece on Valerie Laredo. Please.
You make one video about marketing, and all
Guys,
of a sudden,
she's a feminist icon. She is going to teach young girls everywhere
you
not
make
just how
one,
to fight, but how to love again. She is not only the next Ronda Rousey, she's maybe bigger.
Oh man, can I give out my shout out to Giancarlo Olino because he interviewed a bunch of Bellator fighters again. My boy Giancarlo, he's doing good work, and like he's one of the few guys who like really does pay attention to Bellator, and recently got a lot of shine actually in the world of WWE because he interviewed, what was her name, Trish Stratus as well. So
Good for him.
Shameless plug, Giancarlo Olino, my good friend. Go look at his stuff if you're into Bellator and wrestling. Anyway.
And Chris Cyborg also beat up Sinead O'Connor.
Sinead O'Connor.
No. Bellator really making the fights we want to see.
Man, before we get in trouble, it was not Sinead O'Connor who's currently in rehab right now.
Well,
all right, let's get.
Damn, she really beat her into the foggy dew in that one. I'm not gonna lie.
Boo.
Well, the real fight I'm talking about that has us all giddy as schoolgirls is Max Black's Messed Holloway against Yair Rodriguez, and wow, this was fun. I think Yair gave Max more problems than I think a lot of us expected, especially in the early going.
Yeah, I feel like I had the first round to Yair, honestly. I thought like his leg kicks were pretty good throughout the fight, but especially in the earlier portion of the fights, his striking in terms of his hands, like his boxing, like actually kind of surprised me. Max is known for his boxing, so the fact that Yair was, you know, relatively comfortable staying in the pockets for staying in the pocket for parts of the fight, I thought was interesting. Long range kicks as well. Obviously, the one or two like flash spinning like back kicks as well, which I thought were interesting. But yeah, I was surprised by Yair Rodriguez, who I feel like a lot of people don't rate for some reason. But I think in this fight, his stock went up, and you can definitely see that he's one of the best fighters in the division currently. I
Yeah,
don't
I'll tell you
see.
why they don't rate him. I'll tell you why.
Because he
Because,
lost to Frankie.
well, yeah, but also because he's known for doing some of the most like boneheaded shit. Like not necessarily like bad in terms of malicious, but just like airhead stuff. Like failing to disclose your location to USADA 3 times over. Things like when Zabit, you're gonna fight Zabit. You make yourself look like a ducker by like asking for more money and getting released, then coming back only to say, "Oh no, wait, I have a wrist injury." Right? He just has these airhead moments that like just turns fans off. But but people forget he's an exciting fighter when he's in there.
Yeah, I think a lot of what gave Max Holloway problems, at least in the early going, was one, the good use of that calf kick, but two, the fact that he's able to use his kicks effectively, like you know, not like jabs necessarily, but the outside range was clearly very dangerous for Max in this fight, and closing the distance seemed to present Max some problems. Max mitigated in the early round, just kind of stepping on that lead leg, switching to southpaw as well, answering the kicks of Zabit with his own kicks. Zabit, Yair. But yeah, in the later rounds, it seemed like as Max was able to push him to the fence and work into combinations, work that 1-1-2 to the fence, target the body of Yair, which seemed to be much more readily available than the head. From there, the head fell, and the later rounds. Oh, also going to the takedown was a very good look. Throughout the fight, it was interesting. He was attempting that Frankie Edgar style knee tap takedown, where you put your hand in the center of the chest, and then from there you just kind of level change down and tap the knee. And Frankie used to use that when it failed, come upstairs and combo upstairs. Yeah, Max showed off his jiu-jitsu in this fight, and he really had to dig deep to get the W, but he did.
Yeah, no, I was really impressed with Yair. A couple things I noticed is that like, using kind of like his lead his it would be his left kick. It would be his left, using his lead left kick as kind of like a check left hook almost into the body, which I kind of liked. Because he'd use it and then post off of that leg when it came down to circle away on the outside of that cage. Max got wise to it a couple times and took him down as a result of it. But I think early it was really nice. Calf kick, obviously. I was really impressed with Yair's head movement as well. And we're going to gush about Max in a second for sure. So that's why I kind of want to give Yair his flowers here a little bit. But I was actually impressed with his head movement. And while his boxing is not technically the most crisp, he does a lot of those like things that you need to do tactically ugly, right? And you know what? There's something to be said for having the mind to do what you gotta do and having the presence of mind to do it, right? So slipping on the outside punches, landing a check left hook every once in a while, throwing with Max, right? Max tends to struggle when you do exchange with him in these exchanges and not just kind of like sit and wait and counter. See Dustin Poirier as an example. So I think Yair did a lot of the things that presents Max issues in the past, whether it's attack the legs, keeping that distance, exchange with him when in doubt. But Max, also shows a dimension to his game that makes him very dangerous moving forward.
For sure. I I would say, like, I think we've already said it, so I'm just going to reiterate that. Yeah, I think the biggest difference between like the earlier part of the fight and the later part of the fight was the distance control. Once Max figured out how to close the distance on Yair, I think like he felt a lot more comfortable, kind of implementing his game plan. I can't remember whether it was the first takedown or the second one where Yair literally just slipped.
That
I
was
think it
the
was
first one. Yeah, that was the
okay,
first one.
yeah.
It seemed like Max was throwing a jab at the same time that Yair threw a kick, and Yair kind of slid on his ass, and Max took advantage of it, hopped on top, and finished out
Yeah,
the round there.
and I felt like after that, Max was like, actually, this guy, like, I could actually deal with him on the ground. And once he like kind of established that thread, I thought the fight had a completely different complexion to it. Max Holloway, he strikes so much, like it's easy to forget how good his jujitsu is. Honestly, like I can't recall too many like instances of him grappling with guys. He's usually like an all action like boxer, kickboxer kind of fighter. But yeah,
I've
man,
grappled Anthony Pettis
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
and Charles
So
Oliveira, I believe.
And I think
I feel like
he's got a sub win over black belt Cub Swanson as well. So
I'm aware that he has like sub wins, but
Finished
maybe
Jose
I'm just
Aldo on
not.
the ground.
He wrestled Josie Aldo on the ground.
He finished him on the ground.
Oh, finish him on the ground. Okay, fair enough. I'm aware that he has like wins on the ground, but I'm just not familiar. Like maybe I have a short-term memory,
I
but
do
I
see
can't
your
remember
point. I do see your point.
Yeah, I
Though,
see your
like,
any
point.
fights where he's like it's like a grappling match. But it seems like he knows how to use his grappling against fighters who are especially dangerous on their feet or especially unorthodox. Because I feel like that's why Yair did well with his like weird kicks and his control of the distance. Like I feel like that posed Max problems, and as soon as he was able to close that distance, get some ground and pound in, then that's kind of all she wrote for Yair,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
Max had to get through hell to close that distance. Like he figured out if I keep switching stances throughout the fight, it's going to confuse the targets of Yair. But the southpaw was largely just a look to get into range, back into orthodox, and keep firing from there. But lesser men would have been finished by those low kicks, undoubtedly. How about that guillotine attempt by Max in the third or fourth round? Tight,
yeah, that
tight
was
guillotine
tight.
choke, high elbow. Used it obviously to turn over Yair and then ended up in mounts and finished the round there. But wow.
Yeah. No, it was. I really like that transition to a smooth because like Yair turns himself over to kind of get away from that. And the one thing I think everyone cannot question after this is Yair's toughness. Let's Yair's a tough dude. But then to transition over from the high elbow into mount and then go from there, I think it's just again shows presence of mind and tactical acumen. And it's crazy because I think my takeaway from it was, Yair gave a good account of himself, but it's like I'm almost more frustrated with Max that he doesn't go to the grappling more because it's like wow, you had this in your back pocket, and you've shown it sporadically from time to time for sure. But it's like you could go to it more, Like I don't mind a takedown attempt every once in a while to set up some stuff. Like, what gets guys to stop throwing kicks? The ones that were definitely killing you, go for a takedown.
Sure, I think Max was a little obsessed with figuring out the puzzle of Yair on the feet, which to an extent he did. But clearly the takedown was the path of least resistance here, and there can be a resistance to taking that path when you feel like you want to, figure out the
It's a
puzzle on the
pride
street
thing.
and cement yourself as a better striker. But yeah, absolutely. Like sometimes the path of least resistance is there for a reason. Alexander Gustafsson against Jan Blachowicz, for example, right?
Mm-hmm. No, for sure. I understand that. I get that. Yeah, like I think a couple interesting things too about that is Max Holloway against Volkanovski in the second fight, for example, when the first fight happened and Volk was really kicking those legs and made life difficult for Max. Second fight, Max was a little more lighter on that front leg, checked a couple of good kicks, and just seemed philosophically to want to close the distance by taking a leg kick. Right, which is fine, I guess, but it seemed like those things were really slamming down. And so I kind of want to get your guys' thoughts on it. Like, did you like that kind of decision to not check in favor of trying to step in and get a little more closer to Yair, or did you think he was playing with fire a little bit there?
Honestly, I like the decision to come forward and pressure Yair, and clearly it paid off in the later rounds. Pressure, straight hitting to the body, those all clearly paid off for Max in the later rounds. I think that if you stand statically and check against Yair, you're setting yourself up for other kick setups, and you're playing into that range of Yair Rodriguez. Max, who, Yair is Volkanovski obviously utilizes kicks quite well, but he's a different sort of kicking threat, I'd say. I like putting Yair on the back foot. I do, especially because he has a primarily kicking-based offense, and it appeared to work. It opens up takedowns as well, moving people back to the cage.
Philosophically, I think you should check nearly every single leg kick that's thrown. Personally,
check or evade.
Yeah, check or evade. Exactly. I don't feel like Max Holloway did that in this fight. I think, even though some of them he took on purpose in order to step forward, I feel like some of them just like got in, and he just got honestly with the speed of them. I think you're right that it was useful in terms of closing the distance. Whether he could have done it another way, by checking or evading, we'll never know, because he never really checked any of them. Just philosophically, I think it's good to check or evade leg kicks, because they do say like after like 3 or 4 of those, your leg is kind of done. So that I don't know. I felt like it wasn't really a good look, and it's probably the reason he lost that first round and kind of struggled a little bit in the second. But had he checked them a little bit more, then maybe Yair would have been a little bit like more hesitant to throw them. But I also think you're right. Like Yair's game is to like set you up with the low kicks, then slowly, then every once in a while, like do like a flash, like I keep saying flash, do like a high kick. So maybe you are playing into his range and kicking range, but I think there were other ways to close the distance. I think what really worked, rather than what was when Yair would throw a leg kick or throw like a body kick, and Max would like rush in and close the distance on him. Like I feel like that really worked. But as far as just like exposing your leg to slamming calf kicks, or even just like regular like thigh range kicks, like I don't know if that's something that I would recommend personally.
All right. So any parting thoughts on? Oh, did you see Yair's foot after this fight?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It was swollen up like a balloon.
Do you guys know what did that? Like I watched the fight and I couldn't even think like what caused his foot to swell up like that.
Man,
honestly,
Max will sometimes turn out that knee, and sometimes you hit a hard target with that foot. Even sometimes kicking the calf, if you're not in proper range, you hit a hard target with that foot. You hit the knee. You could hit an elbow. You never know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, my thoughts exactly. I was just gonna say, like, sometimes you kick something really hard without knowing, like, just the way it goes.
And good on Yair for having the. What was that?
That was me. That was me. Sorry.
Talk about production quality.
I know.
Good on Yair to have the gall to be able to push through that kind of a foot injury that clearly affects her mobility, and he wasn't really landing much off of his defensive head movements and foot movements in the later rounds, but still evading, still nimble, right? His inability to counter punch going backwards was a bit of his downfall in parts of this matchup, but Yair's stock definitely goes up from this fight. For Max, it's obviously a hard-fought matchup, but bigger things are obviously coming from here for him. I hear talks of a Conor McGregor fight.
Exactly what I was going to talk about. Yeah, and you know what? I'm not interested in that fight. I'm not interested in any fight, it seems, unless it's like number 1 versus number 2. But
I'm not interested in any fight unless it involves Leon Edwards.
Facts.
Thank you, David.
And a title shot.
And the title shot.
And now you mentioned the title shot.
Make sure you enter the title shot, bro.
I also feel like, Conor McGregor is coming off a loss to Dustin Poirier. And, even though Max and Dustin Poirier fought before, I just think, I don't know, like something doesn't sit right with me. Max is on the like on a tear. Like, yeah, it would be great for his bank account to find Conor McGregor, but like he's clearly, in my opinion, clearly a better.
Man. Hey, man. Max Holloway probably got paid, what was it, 500 a show, 500 a win? You know, he wants the money. He wants the money. All right.
He wants the money. The cars and the clothes and the hose, I suppose. Max just wants to be successful. All right.
Yeah. Right? He's already successful. I feel like Max is one of the more venerated UFC fighters. So I don't know if he needs a Conor McGregor win on his resume. If he did fight, I would watch personally, but Conor McGregor needs to pick up a win from like his division, let alone like dropping to bantamweight to try and beat Max Holloway. I just don't see featherweight. Damn it! I knew I was like, okay, just say a weight and hopefully you get it right. Man, but I know that Conor McGregor is definitely not in that weight class. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
Look, I honestly think Conor.
Oh wow, Kennedy and Chokwe got knocked out that night. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, he did. Yes, but
free my Nigerian mans.
Yeah, man, that's two Nigerians that have lost in the past couple of weeks. First Kamaru to Kobe, and now this. Sorry, go on, guys.
Kamaru didn't lose that fight. Don't do this.
We all know he lost. We all know the.
Oh my god.
But go on.
You know what's funny? The side note, unrelated. The Kobe Covington's a racist video got a slight bump because of that fight.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Right. Go on. I disagree, but go for it.
Hey, man. Sorry. Anyway, back on the
I would say if Max wants to make a run at 155, give him the Conor fight.
Yeah.
If not, if you want him to hang around at 145, I say give him the next shot against Volkanovski. While there are interesting matchups to make in that division, your Zabits, your Yairs, I think Max personally won that last fight, and I think you could do Volkanovski versus Max Holloway once a year, and I'd be satisfied with it.
Yeah, I'd like to see Max against Volkanovski again, because I have to rewatch the fight again, but I think I agree with you in terms of he won that last fight.
You could have a fourth one if Max wins.
Marquez
right about that. We don't get too many quadruple fights, honestly.
The only one would be that I can think of is Rampage and Wanderlei.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's a throwback. After a while, it was kind of like, Rampage, what are you doing there?
It happened a fourth time in Bellator, though, eh?
Yeah. No, that's when it wasn't fun anymore.
It was sad. Man.
That's when it was sad. And Rampage was fat, remember? I remember.
Point I was going to make about Holloway at 155 is that, unfortunately, we've seen what happened with Holloway at 155 when he went up. Was it a rematch against Dustin Poirier? I'm not sure. I can't remember.
It was a number two.
And Dustin Poirier kind of put it on him, outboxed him, which is crazy to say because that's kind of like Max Holloway's staple. So I don't know if he has the same effect on that division, especially when you got guys like Islam. Names are escaping me today, but guys like Islam who will basically like wrestle him to the ground and beat him up for.
Max's takedown defense has been pretty solid.
I was about to say he's got like a 85 or 88%, some insane number takedown percentage.
I wouldn't mind seeing him at 55 if he makes a concerted effort, and I think Conor McGregor is a good stepping stone if he wants to go into that weight class. It seems like a dangerous stepping stone, but a stepping stone, albeit.
Yeah. No, I'm with look, I have no problems either or what he decides to do. I'm just saying the UFC is not giving the fighters any sponsors, and if you're making 500, take it or leave it to show, and then 500, take it or leave it to win, you're gonna want a Conor McGregor fight to line your pockets. I'm sorry.
And how about for Yair? What do you think? Yair's a beat?
Yeah, I think it's time. And when Yair heals up, for sure. Right.
Which might be a while because he was super messed up after that fight.
Because I was gonna say Cater, but then I remembered Zabit already beat Cater, so like
But Yair didn't beat Cater.
Yair hasn't beaten Cater, so like I was gonna say Zabine Cater when Zabine comes back, but that's not gonna work. And so actually Zabine is not Zabine and Yair. Cater and Yair can also work. Ortega and Yair, I don't mind.
Arnold Allen.
Dan Ige, Arnold Allen. Yeah, I mean Arnold Allen feels like a dramatic step back, but Dan Ige, being that he's British,
How is Arnold Allen a step back and Dan Ige is not?
Because Arnold Allen's British.
Hilarious. Okay.
I will not.
I was gonna say I would also like to see Holloway versus Zabine as well. Yeah, that would be interesting as well.
So okay, moving on. I don't think we need to talk about too many other fights on this card.
No.
Let's be honest. Ben Rothwell got knocked out. That was shocking to see because I'm used to Ben Rothwell being the guy that you can't finish.
Mm-hmm.
Bit of an
think that was a bad stoppage? I've noticed a lot of
stoppage.
It was an awful stoppage. Of course.
What
was wrong with it? What was wrong with it?
Mike, can I get you to acknowledge that?
No, it was
Dean's refereeing.
No, you know what? I'm slowly coming to Stefano's side about her.
No. I no longer think he's the gold standard.
The gold standard is Jason Herzog.
No, definitely not. Not at this point, no. But I think it's more of a case of he's getting worse. He's getting worse.
Getting worse. What are you doing? Touching someone and then backing off, and then they're being like, "Hey, stop the fight," and then you stop the fight. Like,
yeah, you know what it is? I think this started like. Hear me out. Here's my theory. I think he started to lose confidence in his ability to like make decisions after the Robbie Lawler Ben Askren fight. And ever since that, it's been a progressive, like, you know, when they're close calls, it's been this progressive, like, do I make the call? Do I not make the call? Right. And as much as I still stand on the position that I think Dan Hardy was unprofessional for his tirade, especially after, like, not like during the stoppage, but like after the stoppage where he's grabbing Herb Dean at like post fight. As much as I think he's unprofessional.
Person step in here.
I'm not going to allow it, Michael. Actually, I agree with Michael. Sorry, Dan.
Right, but hold on. That's not my point. I do think.
Let it be said that I think that you were
in the right for what he was trying to say. Right, I don't agree with how he said it. I don't agree with, but like what he was trying to say was right. And I think, but my point is this: is that you can tell someone's losing their confidence when it's not a my bad and I'm going to try to get better. It's a don't talk to me like that, and the ref makes the final decision. Like Herb Dean put out that statement after, right?
The ref does make the final decision. And also, don't talk to Herb Dean like that. Like, why can't both things be true? Like, you can both be right in your point and have like some respect.
No, but my point is that, okay, look, my point is this.
But
do you remember
the final decision can be wrong?
Yeah, my point is that
get murdered in the same night.
Do you remember when Jason Herzog, right? He made his mistake by letting Anthony Smith go on against Glover Teixeira. And what did Jason Herzog do? He put out a statement. Was like, I made a bad decision. I'm going to get better, right? That's how you respond to, you know, a clear mistake, right? That's not what Herb Dean did. And that's what I'm trying to explain is that when people, like, I'm not trying to psychoanalyze anybody here, but what I'm saying is when people feel like their back is against the wall, they snap, right? They do things like that. Right?
I just feel like I agree with you that he's been on a decline. But for me, I thought this was an okay stoppage. I thought, if anything, some people could argue it was a little early, which I don't know whether I agree with. So I was a little confused at like the backlash, but I guess I didn't see the touch. That's
my problem. It's not the stoppage itself. It's the touching of the fighters, right? Because you're distracting them. It's like, it's make a call or don't. Right. And that's the thing. He's suffering from a crisis of confidence because he's like, should I step in? Should I not step in? Should I step in? And he's accidentally touching the fighters. And this isn't his first time doing that, by the way. Was that Hebus?
You've got to be decisive.
Yeah. Right. Was it Hebus versus who was Hebus facing?
Yeah. Was that Lemos?
That
was a Lemos fight, wasn't it? Yeah. Either way.
Yeah. But my point is that, he's on the decline. And here's the thing. I want Herb Dean to be better, like to figure it out again, right? I still remember Tim Sylvia versus Frank Mir, where he made that awesome call, right? I still think the Ben Askren call was a great call. Like he has in the past been really sharp. So my point is that like this isn't me here trying to shit on Herb Dean. It's just me pointing out what I'm seeing. He's on a decline, and most of it is coming from a crisis of confidence.
Hey, how about this? Herb Dean actually fought Joe Diesel Riggs back in 2003 and got knocked out
That did
in the
happen.
first round.
Yeah, that
Bizarre.
Yeah,
Okay.
he fought before. He's had, what's his record, like 3-4, something like that?
No, 2-3.
2-3. There you
go. Yeah, I don't know, man. Not the biggest fan of Herb Dean as of this point.
In other news, Felicia Spencer, our fellow Canadian, beat the brakes off some lady. No disrespect, I don't know who that is. Letitia Letson. I'm just gonna say Letitia because that's
let's just say
LL,
that Letitia didn't learn her lesson in this one. Kept getting caught on the cage.
That was a good one though. I'm not even gonna lie, that was pretty good.
Felicia, trapped her up against the cage, threw some decent rising elbows, took her down repeatedly, and eventually there was a merciful stoppage up against the cage.
There was a really cool transition she did, like from I think from her back in round 2, where it's like she was in, like she took like one barfly hook and used it to do like a duck over by elevating Letson over. Do you guys remember what I'm talking about? No?
Vaguely.
I did not watch this fight. I'm sorry.
No.
Wow, David, what the hell?
My question was Nunes?
Hell no. What are we talking about, bro?
I think after Nunes wins her next fight, we wrap up the division and conclude the 145-pound division as a make-believe division.
Limited series like telenovela, man. Like you can't just be like, oh, we're done here. We have a winner. Like no, like.
Listen, if the UFC was going to wrap up men's 125 and close the men's 155 division in the past, I think we can wipe our hands clean of the women's 145 division.
It's
I'm sorry,
sad because
women just don't get to that size.
I feel
women
like
just don't get to that size.
Well, I feel like if you give it like 10, 15 more years, there will be some legitimate good competitors in that division, right?
That's a hell of a time horizon. We
can't wait for Sinead Kavanagh and Sinead O'Connor to learn some jiu-jitsu.
It's funny. That is funny. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I can't even argue with that. I want to, but I really can't. What's that other name?
Julia Budd?
No, the like good one who just won PFL.
Oh, she's
Kayla Harrison. She's a 155er.
Yeah, she
yeah, if you've seen the level of competition she's been facing in PFL, I mean, that's the Kayla Harrison. Please come to the front of the line and collect your $1 million.
She has some, like legit like credentials, if I'm not mistaken. Right?
She's sick. Oh, she's sick.
She's unfortunate to be.
She's got some phenomenal judo. She's just unfortunate to be involved in a division with not a lot of competition. Everyone thought that her big rival would be Clarissa Shields. I think we found out how that happened. I think that's when Jeremy quit coming on the podcast, was after Clarissa Shields.
He'll be back. Don't do that to him. He'll be back. All right.
Listen,
my wife's out, I'm out.
Clarissa, I'm here for you, baby, and we'll get through this together. Kaylin Williams with a very Kaylin Williams with a very shocking knockout over Miguel Baeza.
I'm not gonna let you do that. Hold on, you're gonna run it back. You're gonna say the man's name right. Don't
Kaylin Williams.
It
says here on Google, Kaylin Williams.
His name is Chaos. Don't do that to the man, because he creates chaos.
Okay. Kaylin Chaos Williams defeated Miguel Baeza. It looked to me that Miguel Baeza seemed to be controlling exchanges, but just, man, you can't go to the same kick 3 times in a row.
But you know what's funny? I watched that fight. It was working for him earlier in the fight. He did like chain those kicks, and maybe he got a little bit greedy in terms of trying to stop the
He
fight.
spammed them. He
Based on
spammed them.
kicks. Yeah.
He did
Maybe
what
he
your
did.
younger brother does on the Xbox remote and just kept pressing the X button. He threw
I was
the
about to
low
say,
kick one too many times. And listen, low kicks are a great weapon, but they function based on setup. Either you need to know that your opponent isn't going to be able to respond. And with somebody that hits as hard as Kalen Chaos Williams, you cannot risk getting knocked out. 2 kicks you can get away with, but a third.
yeah, no, I see your point.
But shouts out to Chaos though, who I thought like in that round did a much better job of kind of like making it a little bit dirtier. I thought his striking was, in my opinion, a little bit wild, but it kind of works because it goaded the other guy into the other guy, Miguel Baeza, into exchanging with him, and it kind of closed the distance a little bit, which is what he needed to land that knockout. Prior to that, I completely agree. Like Baeza was completely controlling that fight and actually kind of exposed some of the limitations of Chaos Williams' game. But still,
well, I think the problem with Chaos Williams is that, you know, like if you like stand in the pocket, he will get you. He's too fast and he's got great timing. So you have to fight kind of the way Baeza was fighting early. Maybe not as skittish, like he did seem a little kind of uncomfortable, but like, and you would rather a little more flow, but you gotta pick at Chaos from the outside, mix it up on the levels to win. And if you throw rounding weapons, if you throw looping weapons over and over and over again, you invite Chaos to come inside on you, right?
Yeah, fun fight. Excited for their upside. Clearly, Chaos has some development. I'd like to see him. I'd like to see him learn to cut the cage a little better, pressure his opponents, and force them into these exchanges. Right? Either that or work on his timing, and you know, because power will carry you only so far. But I'm excited for his upside, and to be quite fair, I'm excited for the upside of Baeza coming off of that war with Santiago Ponzinibbio, and then finally Julio Arce dropping to bantamweight and having a fun contest against Song Yadong. Song Yadong, look, I've always said it, he's lacked ring cutting abilities, but has crisp boxing, crisp hands, and is a good counterpuncher. And landed that head kick. I think the initial, I can't remember the initial strike. I think it was an elbow that initially had Julio wobbly, but then that beautiful Israel Adesanya same side head kick, plant your foot and throw the cross on the same side. Yeah. Beautiful. Just had ours on wobbly feet. So shouts out to Song Yadong.
Yeah. Yeah, you said it all. Good rebound win for him. And I think the one thing too is that like that inside low kick is making a comeback. The way people are throwing it, just kind of like step up. You know, he did that a couple times in this fight early, and I kind of like the way he was throwing it, mixing it up a little bit with his fast hands. And I think that's kind of like an element to his game that if I think he goes to it more, can really set up his hands. But on the finish was just absolutely amazing. So yeah, good on him.
Guys, I unfortunately have to get headed out due to a class that I must attend. But this was fun. Appreciate you guys. Tune into the podcast. Subscribe. We'll be at you next week discussing the return of Misha Taint. Yeah.
No. Please don't sue us, Misha.
What, Misha Taint? She's a fighter in the UFC. Anyways, she became vice president of ONE FC and still wanted to fight in the UFC. Can you believe it? Even the vice president of the organization's like, yeah, I don't know about this judging system and Chaudhry. What's this about weight cutting? Yeah, I'm sorry. I think I'm gonna go fight out my contract over in the United States.
Sadly, yes. Wait, is she still VP?
I don't think so.
Yeah, she's like, I'm relinquishing my imaginary title of vice president of ONE Championship.
Oh my god.
I don't think so. Yeah.
ONE Championship is like that.
He can't help himself, eh? He can't
They're
help
like
himself.
They're like that spoiled rich kid that goes into a club and pays celebrities and like, good-looking women to be associated with them. It's for clout,
Listen. We've interviewed how many one championship fighters we've interviewed? A couple, like one, two, one.
One.
I can't remember. Whatever. The point I'm
One.
trying to make is we have a good relationship with one championship. I like their product. You're not going to disrespect them on this show.
Oh yeah,
dare you
dude,
say
totally.
that?
They're like
And
my
Bellator.
fifth or sixth favorite MMA organization to watch. Easily fifth or sixth.
All
Maybe
right, all
seven.
right,
Maybe seven.
all right. Get out of here, big dog. Come on.
Guys, subscribe to the podcast. Or Mike will miss weight by 15 pounds and curb.
Oh God. You know what? I'm
you-
gonna set the record straight on this. All right. Let's do it.
Sure.
Let's do a
14.
story time transition.
Okay, story time transition. I'm gonna get out of here. Love you. Bye.
All right, Mike. Story time us, and then let's wrap it.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. Okay. So story time here, and we're gonna make this as transition as possible. Let's roll the clip. Transition, yeah. Okay. So I was supposed to be fighting on the weekend. Saturday, and it was going to be a Muay Thai contest at 185 pounds. It did not happen. People know what happened. I'm not going to spread anything on social media because I came to a gentleman's agreement to not.
Why? Why did you come to a gentleman's agreement?
Because I don't know. I don't know, but like there was something to the effect of like I felt bad.
You're about to fight this man, and yet you still feel bad for him. Have some decorum. Have some decency.
I felt weird about like going on air and saying or going on social
You
media.
got to make the weight.
Right? You can
Just
draw
do
your
it, man. I know it's eating you from the inside. Just do it.
People can draw their conclusions as to what happened based on certain clues. Just know that I was ready to go. I was on weight and I was ready to fight. Whatever the conclusions you want to make is whatever you want to make. Okay?
Yeah, man. This guy.
But the commission basically stopped the fight due to certain circumstances.
You're killing me. You're literally doing like one of those like Instagram kind of like math questions, which is like 1 + = 2.
You make the decision. You make the decision as to what happened. There are clues there for you to explain as to what happened. There are people who know what happened, but I will not be saying it will not come from my mouth. Maybe it'll come from Coach Corey. Maybe it'll come from Stefano, but it's not going to come from me. All right? There it is.
So now you're going to be killing yourself for another fight?
Possibly.
Okay.
Possibly. I'm getting word that like they probably won't take it unless it's at a certain weight that I for real cannot make.
Wait, that doesn't make sense. Oh, you know what? We'll talk it off cam because
we'll talk it off there.
But
anyway, that's the story time for. That's the story.
That was a terrible story. Story.
Yeah, but in other news,
like
sorry. Here's the reason why I lost my voice. The reason why I lost my voice is because I actually ended up being a corner for a young fighter named Dylan Donnelly, who won his first fight the other day, on Saturday in a very hard-fought Muay Thai fight against a very talented opponent, and he came away with a very, very spirited win. Got a nice trophy and got an interview from the press too. So yeah, congratulations to Dylan Donnelly. Right?
Do I know him?
No, you've never met him before, but yeah, the kid made me lose my voice because I was so excited. So
Nice. Not from a hard night drinking.
No.
Oh, okay.
No. But yeah, that's why I'm hoarse right now. So yeah.
Cool. Did you corner for Rob?
No, I did not. But I was gonna court for him next week, but he ended up winning. Okay, that's another story. So Robbie, Jesus, so many. Robbie ended up winning it. The Rage in the Cage welterweight championship. On Saturday in about a minute and a half against a gentleman by armbar. But the problem is Robbie in the first 3 seconds got hit hard with a shot and broke his nose. So he's not going to be able to fight next week. And that's why they have asked me to step in. And I will do it if it's at a certain weight, but there's just no way I can do it at the weight that I can do it at welterweight. I can't do it. Guys, I can't do it. David can attest to it.
I can confirm he cannot do it. Whoever it was.
Like, we they saw the scale. It cannot fucking happen. But
or if he can, you would just have to wheel him to the cage, honestly. He would literally be on death's door.
Right? I can get close. I can get like within like
or chopped off like maybe one of your arms, then maybe you could make it. Like then, but save that. Like I don't think there's any chance with a week to go that you can make that weight.
That's the thing, right? Like if you gave me like,
man, us African boys are built big. We're built thick. Don't apologize, man. Don't try to conform to these white man standards. I shouldn't even be making jokes like that anymore. Anyway, go on.
It's true still, you racist. But yeah, no, they've asked me to step in. Basically we're negotiating a catch weight. If they can do the catch weight, I will be there in 1 week. If they cannot do the catch weight, I will have to just go to New York as a boys trip and just, partay.
Yay.
So yeah. All right. Other than that, yeah, that's all the stories that were kind of shit, but all together they kind of made something.
Yeah, altogether that was not bad. That first one without any of the meat in the sandwich, no.
Fuck yeah, I'll just say it. The boy.
So, whoa, what happened to your gentleman's agreement, man? A man of no morals. See,
right?
See what happens.
Don't worry, because I'm gonna bleep it out. So that's the point. That's the magic. That's the magic of editing.
Like whatever, beep. Like,
yeah, exactly. That's the magic. Right.
All right.
But yeah. All right.
Mike, to play us out, because I think Stefano's already throwing the children, right? So
yeah.
To play us out, what does that mean, please, sir?
All right. In this crazy mixed up world where which will be edited out.
That's
so
fine.
Right. That's the thing. I'm gonna edit that part out too. So it's gonna be all beeped out. It's gonna be hilarious. If you were gonna be like, what is going on? What happened? Just remember you got 3 things. You got life, you got family, and this podcast. Take it easy, everybody.
Peace out, everyone.